Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome to the channel if you're here for the first time. This time I made a new environment. For the next thing I'm doing, I need a church kind of environment. So this is what what I was working on today, what I finished this weekend. Yeah. I basically just took a plane and set it up very basically with the base shape that I wanted the indoor room to have. Next thing, I extruded some of the sides for the walls. I will work on that later. And then I went to work on the floor. I used the tessellate tool to add additional edges. And then I started grabbing the areas that I wanted extruded as, you would say, tiles. Basically, I wanted this to be tiled, but not the normal tile that I did on the dungeon last time. While I wanted to have square tiles, which just works well, I wanted them to be like 90 degrees tilted. So what I effectively did is add the tessellation and then extrude all the different parts. This worked pretty well. The only thing that I had some issues with, and you will see the thing start from a blank screen, is I wanted to add additional tessellation, which you can just see broke the whole thing. Right, I wanted to add an additional tessellation so that the floor would look more detailed, that you could see the single tiles better, because yeah, this is relatively flat here. You can see more details in the final render at the very end, where I just showed you the empty room for now. But yeah, next thing what I did was I added additional edges so that the corners are less round. I wanted them to be defined enough so you can see them without them being too much. And this is also where I had to restart because it crashed on me, and I had to grab all the edges manually and then make them manually instead of just grabbing them with the short keys, which grabbed too much and broke the whole thing. I extruded the walls up, and you can see the walls are completely flat, as well as the ground. In the render at the side, I actually put a normal cube under it that I just deformed a little bit as a basis, but the whole thing is actually flat. And since I'm only going to make indoor shots with the camera, it it will not matter. I did a bit of trickery with the windows, but you will see that in a bit. Basically what I did, I made the pillars next with a pillar base, and then I used my taper tool, or in this case the twister tool, but this part of the taper tool, to just give the pillar some spin effectively, just so that it looks a bit better. After adding the base UV map so I could copy paste this, I made the copies for the pillars, found them a bit thin effectively, so I'm aligning them with the ground more or less, and I just thought they were a little bit thin. My bad, I think I'm getting sick. And I resized them, basically made them bigger, and then resized the height so they would fit. And yeah, made a copy on the other side, which incidentally I did not mirror, so all the pillars go in the in the same direction, while I did mirror the windows later. So yeah, the base window is just I copy pasted the edge of the window here, thickened this so that I had the shape or the thickness of the wall on some level. I added the window pane more or less, and what I wanted is, or what I do like is the glass stained windows, basically with a leaden framework, so to speak. And while the windows each have their own material and texture, effectively, the leaden framework is the same for all the windows. I briefly thought about giving the central window in the back a different framework, but I simply do not have the time to finish it like that. So yeah, in this case all the windows have the same framework, and it's just a backdrop, so it's not supposed to have this full thing. Oh, I have this much detail anyway. One issue that arose with the framework when I finished it was I wanted to thicken it so I could put it through the window more or less, and I could not. The thickening tools sometimes just like to screw up and don't thicken stuff as correctly as I wanted to. So what I basically did is I grabbed the whole thing, extruded it, which leads to some smaller things. In this case, what it basically does is the other side, the outside, is hollow. So there's only one solid side, which is on the inside of the church. Again, this is supposed to be just a environment for some indoor or interior pictures, so it works quite well for that. And yeah, smokes and mirrors as usual. I finished up the framework with a central cross, effectively, or multiple central crosses, just so to tie the whole thing up, so that it isn't just like two separate frameworks, that it is one thing. Yeah, fixing it into the window, and then I basically just added a few more lines, yeah, a few more faces, so that it would be less that the effect of smoothing it would be less impactful. I gave all the pieces for the window their own UV maps and textures, and then I copy pasted the whole thing. One map that I forgot to make is basically the for the pillars, the top and the bottom part, which is now just on the default surface material, but that's kind of fine because it works. It has a VMap, it just doesn't have their own texture, so it's getting worked over by the default. But since it's the only one I forgot, it's not that problematic. Yeah, the windows are effectively mirrored, so the two front windows have the same picture, the two middle windows have the same picture. Basically on the left and the right side they are mirrored. Lastly, I wanted to add a roof, which is kind of optional. I can make the roof invisible if I need light, or if I want this to be an open structure, but I wanted to add the roof because last time when I worked on the last story thing with the dungeon, I had the issue that the dungeon is not a closed room. It does not have a roof, so the lights were really odd, so to speak. They didn't look quite like lights. Yeah, my first iteration of the roof, I had a simple mistake that I had the pillars with the top of the pillars, which were supposed to support the roof, and then I, yeah, forgot about that. So the first iteration was actually not connected to the roof at all. This is why there is a second iteration of the roof here. But yeah, overall this worked really well. I like how the whole thing looks. I made a check that the windows are actually mirrored. And yeah, that's it for this set. I hope you enjoyed the video, enjoyed the renders at the end. And I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and I'll see you guys around.